daily clean on your E65S grind by weight or E80 grinder. First step, you want to shut the hopper off. Usually do this 10 minutes before you finish so that you can use that excess coffee. You would usually have two 21-gram doses. Once that's come off, take your hopper lid off. Then pull down and turn it to anti-clockwise and then lift it off. Put your excess coffee into a Tupperware container with a sealed lid to use for the next day. Use a brush around the cradle, around the load cell. Ideally, it's good to use a vacuum. Then we want to remove the rubber seal. Make sure you don't lose that. We're going to clean that later. Use a vacuum to clean all the excess coffee. You can use a brush, but it's much easier to use that. As you can see, there's an unlock and lock position, and there's two screws that are on top of that plate. That metal screw in the middle there, you can see it's nice and clean. Using a flathead screwdriver or a 20mm Torx screw, just loosen, and you could do them 2 to 3 rotations. Sometimes they might take 4 rotations. So if it doesn't unlock, you can try again by just rotating it a couple more times. You do not need to undo the screws. As you can see, I lift the little toggles up and pulled the plate up and moved it into the unlock position. Then just take it off and set it aside. You can see the flapper. The metal part is in front of the rubber part. I always like to give it a couple of wiggles. Make sure you use the vacuum. See, it's lots of little grooves around this secondary plate. It's really handy to use and less messy to use a vacuum. Make sure you wash and dry your flapper and metal part, and then set aside for reassembly. When we pop it back in, we want to make sure that we have the metal part first and then the rubber. Give it a gentle rub like I did, then place that on the plate, put it into the lock position, and then do your screws up until they're tight. Then you want to wash your hopper under warm soapy water. This should be done every day. This gets rid of all the oils and makes your hopper look shiny all the time. And do that with a lid. Make sure that you dry it nice and neat. And then we want to place back on the grinder once it's dry. Clean the rubber. Make sure you insert the rubber. If you find that when you place the hopper on and it's really loose, it feels wobbly, it means that the rubber's not underneath. So just make sure that we don't lose that rubber. And it's good to clean that as well. Then turning into clockwise position, pulling down on the hopper. The last bit we want to clean is the chute. Comes out just with your fingers, there's no screws. You can use a brush, or you can use a cloth to go through. You can use a bottle brush. Make sure that's nice and clean. And then just slot that back up. So where the groove is, you want to slot that back in. And then we're done.